Hi everyone, it's Ian here and welcome back to my channel. I've got my little furry friend Jimmy here with me today, and we're super excited for today's video because I am finally going to give you a comprehensive overview of my entire Vintage Barbie collection. Today's collection that I am showing is going to cover roughly 1960 all the way to about 1966. That is the era that I typically collect for Vintage Barbie, and I'm only going to focus on Barbie today. I do have a lot of Kens. I have Skipper, Midge, Alan, Francie, some of Barbie's family and friends, but because I have so many Barbies, I just want to focus on that for today. I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty details of each and every single doll just because I have many, but I do have other videos in my channel that cover some of the different eras of the Vintage Barbies that you definitely can check out. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on in, starting with the oldest Barbie in my collection. So the first doll in my collection is this beautiful vintage number 3 Ponytail Barbie. She is pretty much in mint condition, which is why I have her in this little case. I generally do not take her out of this box just because she is my most expensive doll that I own. It's very common with the number 1, 2, and 3 Ponytails for their skin color to fade, and hers has faded to a very beautiful ivory white color. She has beautiful brown eyeliner and coral lips. She was my most recent acquisition. I now own 2 number 3 Ponytail Barbies, and I don't regret it at all just because she is one of the oldest versions of Barbie that is out there, and she's still somewhat affordable. I will never ever own a number 1 or a number 2 Ponytail Barbie, and that is okay with me. They're just way too expensive. So this is the closest I can get to the very original Ponytail Barbie. Up next is my second number 3 Ponytail Barbie, and this was actually the first number 3 that I ever purchased. The very first video on my channel is me unboxing her, and she actually was a doll that needed quite a bit of work. I completely repainted her eyebrows and her lips, and unfortunately her hair is not in the greatest shape, but I did a pretty good job of restoring her. I do have a video on my channel that talks a little bit about that restoration process if you're ever interested in restoring dolls yourself. Overall, I think she is a very beautiful example of a number 3. She's quite different looking than the other number 3 that I own, and this one actually has blue eyeliner instead of the brown eyeliner, which indicates that she is a little bit of a later version of the number 3 variant of the Ponytail Barbie. She also happens to be wearing one of my favorite outfits of all time for Vintage Barbie, and this is the outfit called Suburban Shopper. So in 1960, not only did we have the number 3 Ponytail Barbie, but we had the number 4 Ponytail Barbie as well. I just want to quickly explain the numbering system of the Ponytail Barbies. That is not something that was created by Mattel. This is just a numeric system that collectors use to identify the various versions of Barbie that were produced throughout the years. And the numbering system also has nothing to do with the years that the doll was released. So the number 3 and the number 4 were actually both released in the same year, which was 1960. In my opinion, the number 4 are the most beautiful because they retain their original skin pigment and they have very similar coloring to many of the number 3 Ponytail Barbies. This is my very first vintage Barbie that I ever purchased. She is a mint number 4 Ponytail. She's blonde and she has retained all of her original face paint. She is wearing the iconic fashion winter holiday. I do not own the shoes or the gloves that go to this outfit, but nonetheless, I still think she is super pretty. I bought her at the very beginning of the release of the Barbie movie before the prices for Ponytails went up astronomically. I tried to snag as many number 4s as I possibly could, and she's extra special because she was the very first one that I ever purchased in my very first ponytail that I ever owned. I also have quite a few beautiful brunettes in my collection. When I have the opportunity to snag a brunette ponytail, I snatch it up as fast as I can because they are a little bit more rare than the blonde ones, especially the earlier ponytails. This girl was in really bad shape when I got her. She had a horrible case of green ear. I will tackle green ear in another video, but just know it is a really frustrating process to remove the green from the ears, but it can be done. She had terrible green ear, and I spent about 3 months restoring her, and overall I'm pretty happy with how she turned out. Now this gal does have a sophisticated updo. This is not a factory original, but just know that there were sometimes variations with the hairstyles of these early ponytails. Sometimes they had a braid, sometimes they had this upswept ponytail that made it into a bun. The majority were typical ponytail Barbies, but once in a while there were variations. I really like the look of the bun, so while I was restoring this gal, I just decided to change her hair up a little bit, and I'm super happy with how she turned out. She is wearing one of the older 1959 fashions called cruise stripes, and she has some little cute glasses that I have here as accessories as well. This number 4 ponytail is probably also one of the most beautiful dolls in my collection, and she was also one that I had to do an extensive repaint on. When I originally purchased her, most of her eyebrows and her lips were completely faded, so I had to go in and give her a full fresh repaint, and I kind of took some creative liberties with her. I kind of repainted her to look a little bit more like a number 3 ponytail Barbie instead of a number 4. The number 3s generally have a little bit plumper, lusher lips, and I think that is a really attractive look on these older vintage dolls, so that was kind of the look I went for with her. This is a 1960 fashion as well, I believe, and it is called Enchanted Evening. All right, we are already on to my 4th number 4 ponytail. In case you can't tell, I really love these number 4s. She happens to be wearing a really cute dress, which is called Movie Date. I believe that came out in 1962 or possibly even as late as 1963. And then she also has part of a pack kit, which is the Barbie Babysits outfit that came with a lot of accessories. I do have all the accessories, which I will share in another video, but I absolutely love her. She is also one that I repainted. I generally buy dolls that need a lot of tender loving care, and I do the repainting myself. That is ultimately the reason why I can afford and why I have so many of these ponytails, is I typically buy ones in really bad shape and just fix them up. So those were all of the dolls in my 1960 era collection. Let's go ahead and move on in to 1961. So by 1961, Barbie finally got a 3rd hair color. This is a Titian ponytail Barbie, which is just a fancy name for the redhead color. She's also a very beautiful doll. She is now what you would call a number 5 ponytail Barbie. So one thing to be aware of with these number 5s is they do typically suffer from what is called greasy face by collectors. And this is just that plasticizer. Mattel was experimenting with a different type of vinyl at this time, and unfortunately it causes the faces to go greasy. Not all of them go greasy, but the really early 1961 dolls do. It can be cleaned up with a little bit of rubbing alcohol. You just have to be incredibly careful, because if the doll was repainted and it doesn't have its factory paint, alcohol will wipe that off. She does have a pretty greasy face, but honestly, it doesn't bug me. Some people, it's a fatal flaw. For me, I don't really mind it. And she's the earliest version of the Titian, so I really wanted to have that in my collection. This outfit is Evening Splendor. Unfortunately, it is incomplete. The only thing I am missing is the headband, but I don't feel like paying $30 or $40 just for that missing piece. It gets really expensive to try to complete these outfits, and honestly, I'm totally content not owning all the parts. All right, so we have now moved on to the latest ponytail that I own. I don't have a number 6, but I have a number 7, and the number 6s and the number 7s are very similar aside from a few key differences, which I will tackle in another video since today I just have so many dolls to cover. By the time we hit the number 6s and the number 7s, the makeup was toned down quite a bit to be a little bit more of a softer pastel color in the lips. A lot of these dolls tend to have either pink or a coral pink lip color. They're really beautiful, but they're definitely, in my opinion, not as striking or as vibrant as some of the earlier ponytails. Nonetheless, she's still a really beautiful doll, and they're a little bit more affordable than some of these earlier ponytails. So if you like the aesthetic of the ponytail Barbies, but you don't want to spend a fortune, look into maybe buying a number 6 or a number 7. I also completely forgot to talk a little bit about the bubble cut Barbie. I do have 2 bubble cuts. Fun fact, originally I collected a lot of the bubble cuts. They're a little bit easier to acquire because they were produced for a longer period of time than the ponytail Barbies, but I do prefer the ponytail Barbies over the bubble cuts. So when I go to estate sales or buy lots, I typically sell the bubble cuts and use that money to purchase 1 or 2 ponytails, but they're still really beautiful. They have that very classic short bouffant hairstyle. This is an example of a 1961 edition, so she's one of the earlier versions of the bubble cuts that was released. And as you progress through the years, the bouffant hair typically gets larger and larger and larger. So by the time you get to those 1963, 1964 era dolls, they generally have a lot puffier hair, which is a good indication if you have a later bubble cut instead of a earlier one. All right, we are almost to the end. I have the last version of the ponytail Barbie to show you, which is a very, very coveted one by many collectors, and this is the Ponytail Swirl Barbie. Fun fact, Mattel just released a reproduction of this doll. Not this one that I have here, but a version that has platinum blonde hair. She's a little bit harder to come by, so they recently made a reproduction that I purchased, and I will definitely share her in an upcoming video. But the Ponytail Swirls came out in, it was either 1963 or 1964. I think they came out in 1964, and they were only available for 1 year. So one of the big differences with the Swirl Ponytail Barbies is they don't have bangs. They actually have a piece of the bang that goes all the way in the back of the hair and wraps around the ponytail to give it that sort of swirl style. It's a really, really beautiful hairstyle, and the face mold on this doll is a little bit different than the earlier ponytails. Her cheeks are a little bit chubbier. She has a lot softer makeup. Absolutely beautiful doll. I do have 2 other Swirl Ponytails that are restoration dolls that I'm currently working on. Unfortunately, these 1964 era dolls, if they get green ear, it is almost near impossible to completely remove. This girl actually had really bad green ear, and it took me about 4 months to get as much of it out as possible. She still has some staining around her ears, but I think she's still super beautiful. And she is wearing one of the very coveted American Airlines outfits. I think this one came out in 1961. Really beautiful outfit, and I love those career-inspired looks for the vintage Barbies. My other dog, Heidi, has decided to join us really quickly for the last 2 dolls that we are going to show for today. All right, so last but not least, we have the American Girl Barbie. This is the name she was given by collectors. It's not actually the official name of the doll. I believe the official name of the doll is a bend knee Barbie or a bend leg Barbie, either one of those two. And she was the first Barbie to have bendable legs, which would later become a staple on all of Barbie moving forward. So she was pretty revolutionary. When I saw these versions of Barbie, I absolutely had to have not 1, but 2. I also have this one here as well. And she is wearing a very highly coveted Pan Am stewardess outfit. This is a reproduction. If you were to find the original of this outfit, because it's so exclusive, it's like thousands and thousands of dollars, and I would never spend that much money on a Barbie outfit. So I got a reproduction outfit from back in 2009, I believe is the year it was released, and I put it on her, and I think that she looks absolutely fabulous in it. Both of these American Girls are called long-haired American Girls. Their hair is much longer than the original version that first came out in 1965. So these ones tend to be pretty pricey. This girl actually originally came with no legs. Well, not originally, but I bought her on eBay without legs. So I paid like a fraction of the cost for her than what I normally would. And I actually just ended up bleaching some legs off of a Malibu Barbie from the 70s and was able to put them on her. So it's kind of a way to be able to afford to have some of these dolls that are super pricey at an affordable price by just doing, again, my own restorations, which is what I typically do. So yeah, that is a comprehensive overview of all of the vintage Barbies that I own. I do own quite a few. After looking at all of them a little bit closer up in person, I'm like, wow, I have accumulated quite a bit. They all go into a cabinet in my living room, which is a little bit more confined space. But when I have them out here on this desk, I'm like, wow, this is quite a collection. Anyway, I really love all of these vintage Barbies. I love the fashions. I always just really idolized my grandparents, especially both of my grandmothers. They, grew up in the 1950s and the 60s and were both very glamorous and wore beautiful outfits. And I grew up looking at their family photos. And I think in a way, that's what really drew me to vintage Barbie and collecting these dolls in the first place. Anyway, that is it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please do me a really big favor by subscribing to my channel if you enjoyed today's video. I'm always trying to push out new content. My name is Ian, and I hope to catch you in my next video. Bye.